Greetings, my dear friends. I'm happy to see you here. My name is Alex. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I would like to talk about negotiation rules and how they can be applied to real life. Are they 100% true, or pure theory might encounter a stumbling block in real-life examples? Let us consider the most common rules and see if they're all to be followed blindly. I would like to underline that my considerations are solely based on my experience, so once again, opinions may differ depending on any given situation and context. This rule means that you solve the customer's problem, offer a product, offer added value and fix certain price for it. Well, I might agree and I might as well disagree with that. If you offer a nice product, you invested time and money to solve the customer's problem, as well as to create added value and ask for a certain price which, in theory, is fully justified and, once again in theory, you are absolutely right. But unfortunately, we all live in a real world where anything might happen. The very essence of evolution is being flexible and able to adapt oneself to constantly changing circumstances. If you stay on this same point of evolution and feel comfortable with that, I can only envy you. But technology, markets and the world around us are changing so fast that the luxury of dictating own rules is the domain of the best. So if you are the only company on the market and feel so prosperous, then yes, do not negotiate. But if your company is one of a number of competitors and the competition on the market is so tough, then you need to adapt the strategy which distinguishes your company from others, and your only means of conquering a customer is negotiating. If you retain the same quality, sales terms and conditions, no preferences, no discounts, no extra options, you're most likely to lose a customer. From my experience, even the strongest companies on the market which do not negotiate are bound to fail. This rule means that you are most likely to have certain doubts whether you succeed or not. Before entering negotiations, you think about competition, giving discount or rather preferences. You leave the first offer as it is and wait. Well, what can I say? I fully agree that you certainly do not discount the first offer because that shows you are not confident, you do not feel strong enough to take the project, and the customer feels that uncertainty. He thinks there is something wrong with solving his problem with added value and with the very quality of your product. So you are trying to sell it off as fast as possible. But at the same time, I believe it is okay to negotiate with yourself. Once again, not for the first offer, but bearing in mind second and further ones. If you're already considering future steps to attract the customer, whether you simply offer a discount or any other options that might be valuable for him. In my opinion, if you retain a rigid and flexible mindset from the very beginning, the customer feels it. He feels you slightly lack of respect towards him, that you do not customize your solution enough, you do not hear him. And I also believe that solving customers' problem does include offering him tasty price and sales conditions. Never ever ever accept the first offer. Well, that means that you have in stock better conditions and you just wait and see the second offer, and very likely to include some tasty extras worth battling for. Well, I completely agree with that point. I have nothing to add. Never make the first offer if you can avoid it. Well, that is partly rule number 3, and it also means to wait and see the reaction of counterpart. If he's okay with the initial conditions, why not stay with them? But then, of course, if he's as good as you are, you will have to make the first offer. And believe in 90% of cases, you cannot avoid it. Okay, we're all human beings and have got 2 ears, 2 eyes and 1 mouth. So the proportion is 80 to 20 in favor of perception. When we talk, we are most likely to leak our thoughts and expose ideas to other person. Well, a very disputable point. On the one hand, I fully agree that the more you listen to customers' needs and talk less at this stage, more information you can collect to further on present your best solution. So just ask key questions and get as much needed answers as you can. But on the other hand, there is time to listen and there is time to talk. Negotiating is exchanging information, views, ideas, offers. And how are you supposed to get to agreements if you are solely using your eyes and ears? I believe it is okay to break this rule. After all, what are rules meant for if not for breaking? The key point is going on carefully based on the information from the customer. You're engaged in a conversation and now it's your turn to expose ideas and views on the topic. Of course, do not frighten him at once with 50% discount, but let him think you are already solving his problem. Eyes and ears, that's fine, but without mouth, they simply do not work. This means nothing is given for free. The customer must earn it. For example, do not give him discount at once, because next time he will bear in mind that the real price is what you offer minus the discount. Well, what do I reckon? On the one hand, it is obvious that you do not frighten the customer by giving a discount from the very beginning. First, it shows that you intentionally raised the price and then discounted it to the real one. A very bad impression. The customer is not an idiot and unmasks you at once. This move shows you do not respect the customer and seem to think he's an amateur. Second, and we already discussed it, if you give discount from the very beginning, it means there is something wrong with what you are offering, either low quality or a desperate need to sell off just to get some money. And I cannot really tell which one of these points is the worst. As for giving for free, nothing in business is given for free. Let us take one example. To raise your chances of selling a product, you offer free service for a certain period of time. Well, you think it is free. Imagine you close the deal and the customer is satisfied. But you do not lose the money. This satisfied customer might refer you to another customer and that customer to another. So here you close a second, third deal and recover your initial, the so-called free service expenses. You get several deals just with small initial investments. This means that if you deliver a product as solution, you deliver one single price. You do not break it and specify which is the cost for each component. You do not salami your price. For example, this component the customer can do himself, that component he can buy from another supplier, so in the end your price is cut to a much lower one. Well, what can I say? If you are offering your product or solution, your know-how, you are confident of, you are completely sure it will work, so yes, no need to salami that. But let's take a real example. Say you're offering our favorite yogurt filling machine and along you offer labeling, weighing, printing and conveying equipment you just integrated and proposed as a complete solution. And the customer does not need to buy that all from you. He either does not need it or can buy or make it himself. So what's the choice? Lose the project or yet still salami it? Well, if you can afford losing it, why not? But I believe that considering how much time, money and investments you made, that is not likely to happen. In my opinion, it would be wiser to go on negotiating and try to find an agreement with customer, and you will see that he will value that. This means that walking away from the deal, we think if we could have done better. So, for example, if we make a concession, we should understand how much does this cost for us, how much does this cost for the buyer, and understanding it, what do we get in return? Well, I completely agree with that. Let us take an example. The customer has a huge budget, money is not tight, but he needs your product as soon as possible. So apart from bad planning from his side, which is occurring terribly often, the value of lead time for your product has increased. How much does it cost for you to deliver the product as quick as possible? Do you have problems with that, and how much extra investments from your side will it take? Well, I think that even if it is not a real problem, do charge extra for it. After all, you're solving his problem and he will most certainly appreciate it. This means that every negotiation has its pace, and when the other part is speeding up the tempo, this is done either because you have made a mistake and they want to take advantage of it as quickly as possible, or seeing some benefit you missed and again consolidate this benefit. In this case, it is advisable to try to slow down the tempo. Well, what can I say? I completely agree with this point. It often happens with owners of business who like to shake hands immediately after seeing some advantage or a mistake from you. Nice deal, we shake hands and close it now, you've got my word. The trick is, this deal is highly probable to be beneficial for him and you are clearly missing something. I also advise to take your time, ponder over the project and come next time with updated offer. But unless this deal is beneficial also for you, never fuss about a deal and go with the right pace. This means that no matter how strong the temptation is, never disclose your ideas on the deal, even when you're on friendly terms with the customer. Well, on the one hand, I completely agree it is unwise to lay all your cards on the table, especially if you're going to continue working with the customer, because, it is obvious, next time he will peel you right down to nothing. But on the other hand, why not share some information that will in no way hamper your relations? The customer might also give you some valuable data, for example, why he chose you and what he did not like about competitor, what points to improve in your product to excel in quality. I mean any valuable information that is no commercial secret and bound by any confidential agreement. Sharing information might also make your relations with customer closer and trustworthy, and that is a formidable achievement. So guys, this is basically it concerning negotiation rules. Once again, I underline that this is just my opinion based on my experience. Theory, but real life may sometimes bring such dramatic surprises and send into a tailspin. So the one and only rule is to be reasonable, be flexible and be able to negotiate. No problem can be left unsolved until both sides are willing to do so. I would like to thank you for watching this video. Please put a like or a dislike, and of course, subscribe to my channel. I strongly believe that with the right plan, even an imperceptible penny can return into a ponderable pound. Thanks for watching.